thank you for watching the Money Making Money podcast with your host Mark Anderson, Albert Ceja, I'm George Applicano, and then my special guest Templeton Walker.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
What's up? So so a funny thing, I listened to the podcast that you were on with Steve Trang, and I got a little nugget on there, and you were like, gosh, and you said it so perfect, and I had it written down, and I forgot it. So it says the greatest thing that you could give somebody is your time.
Yeah.
Right. So we really appreciate you being on here, and appreciate any knowledge or any nuggets that you can give us. And
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So
I appreciate you guys having me. That is one thing I've been super conscious of. Being married, got 3 kids, got a lot of people pulling at me. So who I spend my time with is kind of like the greatest gift I can give them, because it really is the greatest gift I can give them. So I don't say yes to everything, and this was definitely something I wanted to do. So I appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So you're a real estate. You started off we always start off at the beginning of of your career, how you started, what you got going, and then what kind of gave you that little arc, right, to get that motivation going. So you started off as a real estate agent, right?
Real estate agent 6 years ago, and honestly, like, I'm from a small town, and I was kind of like the guy, and then I had all this potential, and so many people, like, I was the dude, and then you get into kind of like, I was a big fish in a small pond. Then you go out in the ocean, you're like, oh shit, I'm a little fish. Like, this is not. I think a lot of people are kind of waiting for, like, Temp, what are you going to do? Like, you've had all these gifts, and I was like 24, 25, and I had sold pretty much everything you could possibly sell, and had kind of done okay, but had never really done well. And I was selling this multi-level marketing pill. I mean, dude, this was a weird time in life. And I called my aunt, who's a realtor in Prescott, and she's real successful. And I was just like, hey, you got to buy this pill. It's going to change your body. And she's like, you're an idiot. She's like, if I pay for real estate school, will you go and pay me back on your first deal? I'm like, yeah, but you got to buy the pill because I need this 200 real quick.
Is this the limitless pill?
Yeah, I wish. If I had it, I'd take it. So anyway, fast forward, like my second month. So I just got loud about it. I was just like, I always teach my realtors now, and anyone who asks advice, like, this could be just change the word for realtor to investor, but I'm a realtor, I'm excited about it, and I want to help you. If that's your energy and that's your message, everyone, and you tell every person you could possibly meet, you're going to go do well. So in my second or third month, friends, family, just stars aligned. I sold like 4 houses, and I made like 17 grand, and I had never made, I was like,
Wow.
oh my God. I was like, I'm going to be a realtor. And I just took to it, right? And it's the first time I started having a lot of success since I played sports. And I'm competitive, right? And then I started to learn what other people are doing. I'm like, well, I could do that. Like, I'm going to do it better. You know what I mean? And so that sparked my drive. Fast forward. So I really took to it quickly. And within about 2 years, I was selling quite a bit. And I started Templeton Group. And then, so T Group's rolling.
Yeah, how long has T Group been in existence?
So I've been a realtor for 6 years, and T Group was like end of year 2. I was on a team, and I clearly remember the team leader saying, like, I was like, I want to sell 100, because I was the top salesperson on the team, and I was like a little like hustler, and I was like, I want to sell 100 homes next year. And she's like, well, why don't you sell 52? And I'm like, no, you're not hearing me. Like, I want to sell 100. And she's like, well, that's great, because I'd only sold like maybe 42 that year or something, which is really good for a regular realtor.
That's really good, yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm going to sell 100. And she kept like, that was like the writing on the wall. It was like, I'm not, can you curse on this? No?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was like, fuck this. I'm going to do this on my own. Like, if you're going to limit my dreams, then we have an issue. Like, this is not the right place for me. And the next year I sold 120 homes through a team and leverage and started growing. So that was awesome. And but you're always evolving. And I realized I was really good at finding deals, but I didn't understand what I was doing. I was essentially bird dogging for people, and I was making half a point or whatever. Yeah. And then I found out people were making like 20 grand, 40 grand. I was like, wait, what? I made $2,500.
Right. I did the same thing.
So, and it only takes a couple times to learn, like, oh, I want to be on the other side of this. And then it really only takes a couple times of meeting people where you're like, oh, these are like not the sharpest tools in the shed. Like, they're just like, I can, like,
in there too.
I can do
you know what I mean?
that.
So I'm like, I can do this. And then, so I started wholesaling in conjunction with traditional real estate. And then I really started to see the revenue of that just far surpass traditional realtors. And traditional real estate it's one of those things, like if you're solo, you can go make real good money. But once you get to this certain team level, these team leaders, man, and I've been one of them, you make all this, you make so many sales, you know, but you don't actually make much money because it costs money. It takes all this, but you're standing on stage and everyone's telling you you're amazing. And inside you're like, I'm broke. Like, so if I wasn't wholesaling and flipping, my revenue would not be anywhere near it is. But what T Group has allowed me to do is, so I realized quickly, all right, I can go make, and I have a few business coaches, and they're like really breaking down my business, and they're like, dude, you're spending 80% of your time to go earn 20% of your revenue. And that's what T Group was. So it was at a point where it either needed to go away or I needed to leverage it out. And Shauna, who started as an agent with me, just an incredible, incredible person, hardest worker I know. She just kind of naturally grew to the opportunity of leading that team. So I gave her a revenue share and said, go run it, you know? And it was either going to go away or it was going to thrive, but that was going to be on her. And I'm going to keep being Templeton and bringing this wave of business, but I'm not necessarily going to sell much traditional real estate at all. And, you know, last year we sold over $40 million worth of real estate. So, and I spend, you know, a few personal clients here and there, but really Shauna helps on most of that. And we meet on Tuesday mornings. We met this morning for half hour, and that's about it for a $40 million producing company.
You guys go over your
That's amazing.
So you guys go over your KPIs, just
KPIs, you know, what's our revenue in, what's our expenses, what's our projections, what does she need help with. I've also given her opportunities where she flips homes with me. So, you know, she raises the capital, but then she really wants to learn that space. So anyone in my world, I try to give them multiple avenues to go create revenue. Too often, the guy on top or the gal on top, they want everyone to make their wage and fall in line. And like for me, it's like, all right, if I can go eat on 20 different trees, come with me and let me show you how I do this. Because if I'm bringing value to your world and you're going and making six figures, multiple six figures, like why would you ever leave me? You know what I mean? And I still have people leave my world, but I'm like the guy who's like, give me a hug. Like, who can I call to give you a reference? Like, life's too short to ever be upset. So,
and it's one of those things that always circles back around, right? You know what I mean? They have to go on their journey, and then from there, usually there's always some sort of contact or some sort of assistance later on down the road when they've excelled or something like that.
And for me, most of my wholesale business is predicated on relationships and referrals. So, you know, I have so many connections outside of my team that bring me business. Like, why would I ever burn a bridge because you left my team when we can continue to do business together? So that's been big. And then becoming a wholesaler, I really found out that I needed to kind of create. So T Group runs, right? Like that's a nice, profitable company. I don't make a tremendous amount of money from it, but what it does allow me to do is be a cost center for all my other businesses. My assistant runs through that company. My rent runs through that company. Shauna's making an override on every deal, so a very important person in my life is making really good money from that company. And granted, I still make money, but it doesn't need to go make a lot. But what it is it's this foundation that it's like a cost center for all my other companies. So when I go wholesale, I don't have an assistant on that company. I don't have rent on that company. I mean, and I don't even market on that company. So it's almost all profit. So I learned that these companies can be vertically integrated and be highly profitable as you get higher up that chain.
And so then also with the T Group, it also, when you're actually out wholesaling, it gives you some sort of a base, right? Like you are actual real estate company. You have an actual, you know, legitimacy. That's what I was looking for. Right?
Super helpful. And for me, I struggled with wholesaling for a while because I honestly felt like I was deceiving people, or it just felt like messy to me. I was like, I don't like how this feels. Like these aren't contractors, or, you know, and I think we all have a little bit of that inside of us if we're really being true. And like my moral filter, I believe I'm gonna meet the big guy upstairs someday and he's gonna be like, yo, why'd you do these things? So I learned very quickly, look, I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb in a good way. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to give these sellers every option. I'm not gonna go in there and make them feel as if this is their only option and the home is not worth what it's worth. So I have a different approach. I'm a licensed realtor, which requires me to disclose. But I look at that as a gift because
Yeah.
I'm like, look, Mr. and Mr. Seller, you have multiple options. And all I'm going to do is tell you what those are and let you make a decision. So let's just look at what those are. Let's walk the property, build rapport. Great. Now I'm your friend at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people, we're so deep into conversation, they're like, are you going to buy the house? I'm like, oh, yeah, let's sign it. But what I do is just like, hey, if this property was fixed up, and I think we both agree it needs 75 grand. If it was fixed up, it's worth 300 all day. And if you had commissions and everything, you'd walk with this. From our conversations, I understand that's probably not a reality, but I need you to know that that's an option. Here's our other option. I can put it on the market as is. You're going to have traditional buyers through. You're going to have commissions. You're going to have repairs. You're going to have all that stuff, and you'd net this. But it's going to look like this experience. Your other option is I could bring in a cash offer to you, and I'm going to buy it personally. But you got to understand that I'm going to go move this contract for a profit, or I'm going to flip the house for a profit. But for sure, I'm going to give you the dollar number that I tell you, and I'm going to close on this property. You have my word. Is that fine? But you got to understand, I'm going to go make money there. And all these scenarios, I make money. Either it's through agency and commission, or me being the investor and being your buyer.
Right.
So no one can ever leave a conversation with me anymore and say, well, Temp didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my mind and my heart really around wholesaling, where I was like, oh, I can do this and solve problems and operate in a high morality, where I unfortunately feel like there's a lot of guys who don't do that. And that's in any business.
Yeah.
So that was big for me. I don't know where I was going with all that, but I think it's an important point.
Where did you, when was it you realized that since you had all these buckets that you could present to a possible seller, like when did you realize that what am I trying to say? You didn't have to say no anymore, essentially. Like you have so many exits for this person that no's not an option.
Yeah.
Like I can continue saying yes to any particular scenario.
I think I walked out of a few. I'm a pretty good salesperson. Like, you know, once I meet with someone, you know, I do one thing pretty well, and that's make friends. Everything else I'm pretty terrible at, but I just make friends. But I'd walk out of places and not have a deal. So I'd be like, everything was perfect, but I didn't show them enough options. So I did that probably 2-3 times, and I was like, oh, I wasn't just an investor in there.
Yeah.
I was an investor and a realtor. Like, I can wear both hats.
Yeah.
I just need to identify to them when I'm wearing which hat and why it may or may not make sense. So as I did that, man, there's no dead lead anymore, right? Like, I'll walk into a place that called for a cash offer, and I'll almost instantly say, like, why don't you want to list this? I mean, I'd love to buy it, and I'll buy it at this price, 100%, but this is really clean. If you have time and energy, and like a house I'm closing on Thursday, they're like, Temp, we know we're leaving money on the table, but we don't want to go through a traditional sales process. Yeah. You know, you're going to close. I'm giving them 2 weeks to move. I'm helping solve other problems that are more important. And what I started to find out is that money is not always the most important driver for people. So convenience oftentimes is a huge driver. Yeah. So, man, I'm able to lay my head down every night now and feel really good about what I'm doing. And I think being a licensed agent helped me do that because it forced me to disclose. And really, I wanted that disclosure because just like naturally, I want to be a great human being. Yeah. That leads back to that question about like, how does that agency actually help me? And I use a standard AAR contract. I always point that out. Like, hey guys, I'm a licensed agent. Like, this is a state contract. This isn't on like a one-page napkin sort of deal like a lot of guys are going to see. Now that I'm in a much stronger financial position, I always go in and offer like high earnest money, hard earnest money. Yeah. Like, you know, there's ways. This is such a popular thing now. You got to kind of really go in and like play a little bit of bully ball with the smaller guys and be like, you ain't gonna put up 20 G's. Yeah. You know. Right. Yeah. But I will. Right. If it's a deal, I'll put up 20. So it's been good to evolve, but also then to help other guys. So like what I do is a lot of smaller wholesalers or people who don't necessarily know exactly what they're doing yet. They'll bring me their deals. And I go move them on, and I split with them whatever I make.
Right. And I thought that was interesting too. In the last podcast I listened to that you were on, so run me through that, right? So if somebody brings you a deal, you automatically there was like a $10,000, like as an example, right? There was a $10,000 spread assignment fee or whatever, and then if you dispo, they ended up getting something on it, or that was I don't know if that was a previous model. Or?
So no, I have two different ways. I ask you, what do you want out of this? Like, do you want me to pay you a fee? And if I can reach that fee, I'm happy to pay you. And then whatever I go earn is mine. Or do you want me to move it on from where you have it at, and we'll split whatever that is? Like you tell me what you want, and I'll try to make it work. So that's essentially what I do. So what I've learned is a ton of real estate agents don't actually know what they're doing. You know,
Right.
quite frankly.
It's
I
true.
agree.
So,
It's-
which is not a bad thing. I mean, but just so many realtors are just not versed in the investment world. So I call and prospect them and say, hey, I'm your cash buyer. If you ever need anything, let me know. I'll let you double in the commission, or I'll share my fee with you, whatever I earn. So I used to get maybe 20 to 30 leads a day. Anymore, I don't. I probably get like 10 to 15, just because so many people are doing this, and a lot of people are trying to run a similar model,
Right.
which quite frankly, I've taught a lot of people, which I don't, I'm happy to do.
And we'll get into your mentoring thing later on in the podcast.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, so I'm happy to do that, but I'll see 10 to 20 deals a day. And like last year, I did 98 wholesales and 31 flips, and I didn't spend any marketing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, nice.
So-
Very nice.
So I have a smaller assignment, like my average assignment's like 16 or something, but I'm splitting it every time.
Yeah.
But if I'm collecting 8 of that on no marketing, like
Yeah,
my,
nothing.
and my
Yeah,
net
it's
is
just
like,
profit.
I mean, it's a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you go flip, like people don't understand, after you wholesale, there's more money to be made there. So if
Yeah.
you can learn that skill set, even at a moderate level, and you can commit to deals and take down what you need to, you have another 250 to 500 a year in revenue sitting there
Yeah.
Yep.
if you're willing to put in the work.
We learned that this past year. Well, we wholesaled a property to you, the duplex in Chandler.
Yeah.
So we did that. That's when we started, and then now this year and last year we started doing the flips as well. But there's income there.
I wanted to own that duplex, but it made sense. I ended up taking it down, listing it, and working out some of the Section 8 stuff.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Right
yeah.
on.
So I think I moved it on at like 275.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but
Awesome.
to take it down and to go I don't know that I made a tremendous amount of money. I mean, I know I made money, but
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to do that and pay for that deal and still go make some.
Right,
Yes,
exactly. And the funny
exactly.
thing is that the collaboration that we have here in Arizona, amazing group of wholesalers, amazing
Yeah.
group of real estate investors.
Yeah.
In that transaction, we all made money.
Yep.
It was just, it was a.
And no one's upset
no
about
one's
it.
upset
Yeah, no
about
one's
it, right? Because it was there was
Keegley,
right.
you guys,
The,
we did.
the house I just bought this morning, like the guy sent it to me as our first deal together. I go, hey, this is how it works. I'm committed to this number. I will buy it. Do you, and he told me what he's making. He's going to make 10. I go, perfect. Do you want me to move it on and we'll share the total spread, or do you want me to pay you your 10? But I need you to understand, I'm going to go try to market this and wholesale it. If I can't, I'll close on it. Is that fair? And he's, that way no one's ever feeling like, oh, you're just
Yeah.
daisy chaining my stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you what I'm doing
Right.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the caveat of, hey, I'll close though. So
Right.
let me go try to do what I can do and make a quick assignment. But if I can't, I'll close and I'll take it on like a big boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think people appreciate that when you tell them. I didn't always used to do that in the past, and some people would be like, "Oh man, you sold that deal," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I thought you knew."
Right.
Like, so
Right. It's
you,
part
you
of the
just
business.
you
right.
learn.
Right.
You
yeah.
learn to just really, man, honesty is always the best policy. I
Yeah,
don't care
yeah.
what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I just tell people, and I've had people be like, "Well, I don't want to sell it to you." I'm like, "Okay, so if you're looking for 10, what's the harm in me going to making some money?" We're like, "Well, then maybe I could go sell it." Well, I'm like, "Then go sell it for
Yeah,
more."
I know
Right.
what you're
Exactly.
know,
What do you, yeah.
Like,
I agree.
that's
Yeah.
up to you. So it's your deal. You're controlling it. Like you're in the driver's seat, bro. But as soon as you assign it to me, I'm in the driver's seat.
Yep.
And you need to understand what I'm gonna try to do.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
Like, that's like the same as the deal that we got yesterday. That's what we're doing. I mean, that doesn't have a close for 30 days. So we got it. We're gonna assign it. If we don't, we're gonna take it down ourselves and flip it.
Nice.
It's got a good spread on it.
Mhm.
10p.
Let me see it.
Yeah,
I think
I'll
I just
send
saw it
to
go
you.
out. I think I saw it go out.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I haven't underwritten it yet.
No.
What stuff is like? That's one thing that's weird about me too. Is I don't have a list. I don't like do. I just when I get deals, I got my 15, 20 guys that I know will buy, and I just I actually suck at selling properties, but
But using the wholesale 98 properties, that's not bad.
no, I mean I know I always kind of
I know.
downplay that, but I don't know. I just have my kind of way about it.
You know your
because-
buyers, right?
Yeah, I know my buyers, and I just know a deal. Like I guess I can kind of see it.
Yeah,
Like I'm like,
yeah.
I know this works. I know who could probably take it.
Yeah.
And I just move it on like that because, when you blast it out, you might be able to go get some more. But then this end buyer, are they a real buyer? And then
Yeah,
they get all
that's it.
sketchy at
Right.
the end. I just don't even want to play in that world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of the Tempe property, right? So we got it backed up onto the freeway. Now you had said that you had made a mistake on a property that was backed up to a freeway.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't
So-
want to see that deal anymore. No, just kidding. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, dude, I bought one right on the freeway. Juicy spread. Tried to flip it. Couldn't flip it. Lost a bunch of money. Took it down. Turned it into an Airbnb. Right. You gotta always have
Right.
Yeah,
multiple exits. I salvaged it. Right. Like I did what I needed to do for about a year, and then I went and moved it on. And at the end of the day, I probably lost some money. I made most of it back, but it was just like such an enlightening experience to like have the comps, have a beautiful product, and have a house that can't sell.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, it's fucking dope. Like, buy it. And
Right.
they, like, and it was right next to that giant wall, so like the sound, like,
You can't
not,
hear anything.
I'm not
right.
a scientist, but it like jumped over my house. So I'm like, okay, like it's pretty quiet. And I couldn't sell it, and I'd just be sitting there like, I'm like flipping like 10 homes right now. And one in Sun City right now, bro. It's not selling.
Is
And
it in Sun City?
every sign says point, like this should
Yeah.
sell, and it's not. And I'm just like, this motherfucker. So it's just, it's.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I'm closing on one on Thursday that's a little bit close to a freeway, but it's not on it.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I have it nice. It's the one I told you where they're like temp. We're happy to make less. We just want
Yeah.
out. So I'm not going to even wholesale that one because I think it's going to be a really great flip. But I don't know, directly on a freeway anymore.
Yeah.
It
All right.
sketches
now
me
you
out.
scared us, but our
Well,
caveat is that
it's not directly on a freeway, but it is really, it backs it up.
yeah.
Back it up. There's a space
yeah.
where the trucks go. It's Tempe. It's in Tempe too.
One, it's Tempe, and
It's
two
a
is
nice
AS.
area.
It's near
In
ASU.
the
So
ASU.
so
But
even
if you have
we-
it at the right
right.
dollar amount, and then like worst thing is, oh shit, I forgot I'm supposed to be somewhere at 12:30. Let me tell them I'm not going to be there real quick. That just reminded
Yeah,
me.
no
Oh my
worries,
god. Sorry guys, I
No,
forgot I
no
was supposed to
worries.
walk a property and I fucking.
No worries. So when I first started in real estate, so we have the same kind of business model as you do, right? We give the sellers everything. Obviously, Albert's a licensed real estate agent, so is Mark. All right, and when I first started in wholesaling, I knew that a lot of investors out there weren't doing the justice for their customers, right? They weren't,
Right.
right? So one of the first investors that I worked with was a direct mail. All they did was direct mail. That was it. It was prior to the RVMs and the text blasts and all that stuff. So what happened was that they would send out $10,000 worth of direct mail, 30,000 flyers or something like that. They would get phone calls back. And through those phone calls, and granted, the investors were licensed. One of them was a licensed real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
And I would see that from 95% of those calls, those people wanted to sell their home
Retail.
at retail.
Retail.
I would bring this to their investors and I was like, "Hey, this is a listing. Do you want this?" And they were like, "No." Well, can we refer it out? No. Okay. Well.
So why are we not?
Right. Why are we not? We're looking for that. We're that 1% so that we can convert that wholesale deal. And I'm like, well, wait a second. The mindset's not right.
Yeah.
Right. And so just that's how when I started off. And so when I realized that, I was like, okay, well, I need a partnership. And obviously, I don't have my license yet, but I needed to partner up with somebody. And that's how we created the same business model that you have. So
I have earlier this year, or not 3 months ago, buddy Blake, he's an awesome dude. We tried to create somewhat of a partnership because I'm never going to be the guy that builds out like a Podio system and a texting system. And like, I just like, my brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, I have this great model that feeds us really well at zero cost. If I take some of that revenue and go put it into here and support you financially, and we can go grow this and we can create revenue there, eventually that's going to like supersede what I'm doing. And
Yep.
because at the end of the day, in 3 years, hopefully I'm not still saying, hey, send me your deals. I mean, hopefully I mean, it's a great model, but it's not scalable.
Yeah.
It's highly profitable, but it's not scalable, what I'm currently doing. So that's what was my thought. But, and me and Blake are dear friends, but just partnership is hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, especially for me anymore, I've grown this thing that like is highly, highly profitable. So for me to give up half of it to go join or grow anything else, it's like kind of doesn't
yeah.
pencil.
Have you read the book Rocket Fuel?
I have.
You have. Right?
Yes, so I have, and That's visionary integrate.
Integrator, right?
Yeah.
And I forgot the other two, but
I know I'm a visionary.
Right,
I
exactly,
know.
exactly. So, right, and similar, right? Visionary, integrator, and then I forgot what the other two were, but I'm gonna read it again, right? Because
No,
there are components, right? And that's the whole thing. If it doesn't mesh,
Right.
it just doesn't mesh.
So for me, like we're always evolving, right? So like I like I was telling you, I'm trying to do less deals this year and have a higher focus on different things in my life. But one of which is buying large apartment complexes and commercial buildings. So really educating myself and becoming extremely good at underwriting those type of deals. And sometimes, so like that's like my next thing. And what I'm learning in the multifamily commercial space is it's not a solo man job. Like it requires partnership. You got to have an underwriter. You got to have a fundraiser. You got to have an operator. Like one guy can't go do it all. And I've always wanted these great partnerships and to like create a team because I grew up playing sports and I love leading. But when things don't start, and I know this about myself, when things don't start going well, my natural reaction is to be like, give me the ball and get the fuck out the way, and I'm gonna solve this. And I mean, that's probably just something I'm gonna have to really develop and work on as I enter this next space because I can't do it alone.
Yeah, you can't do it all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Type thing. I got the ball. I'll take care of it. Right?
Yeah, get on my back and I'll carry us. And it's just it's not a very efficient way to do things.
Yeah.
So we're each trying to get better every day, and that's something I definitely got to get better at.
You took the major step already in realizing, like, I can't do this by myself.
So,
Like, I need to do this with partners, and now you have to just find the right people, right?
Right, because some people, they never even are aware enough to understand that they need it, and then, like, you can't teach someone that doesn't want to be taught.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, I think I've done a pretty good job of being self-aware and trying to be humble enough to say, all right, I don't have all the answers. Quite frankly, I have like no answers. So I need to seek those out and find those that can complement what I do and that are doing better than me, so I can, learn from them.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And is that how you're getting, like, I mean, to underwrite more, duplexes, that's small, but you said apartment complexes.
Yeah.
To underwrite those, I mean, that's a pretty big step. I mean, are you doing it yourself just by reading, or are you going to somebody to mentor you for that?
So I've learned, I have different real estate coaches. I've invested in different programs.
Okay,
there's some guys like Michael Blanc, Tim Bratz,
Okay.
some different guys who can give you, and I'm not like a spreadsheet wizard guy.
Yeah.
Like I know like how to turn $1 into 10, but I can't really like figure out like an algebra problem or something. You know what I mean? So that's a struggle for me. I'm more of like a hunter killer, like go find deals guy. But you need to be proficient at that to at least see if the deal has legs, and then you can speak to it to the broker. And these commercial brokers, they're a little bit more astute than our standard realtor, and they expect that out of you. So to answer your question, I underwrite them myself, and then I have another buddy he's one of the best business minds I've ever met, and he works in another job, but on the side he helps me underwrite and potentially invest in these deals.
Oh, nice.
So what we've learned so we buy small 2 to 8 multifamilies, right? And then we're trying to make that jump as well to get into larger multifamilies. And luckily I've ran into a developer, right? Developer has actually given me insight in regards to overall cost, right? So and the funny thing is that is it going to make you more money? Like the standard statement that he says, is it going to make more money to build a new one, or is it going to make more money the way that it's already set up? If you look at it from that point of view, then all of a sudden everything kind of falls into line. I'm like, okay, that kind of.
I want to chat with you about the development piece because that's obviously a dream of mine and a goal of mine. But what I unfortunately haven't got into the nuts and bolts of like all the cost. And when you underwrite something, I'm putting in a build cost there, but quite frankly I'm guessing. I'm like, well, I don't know, this much a foot, this one guy said this is what it costs to build, so you're like you're like, all right, am I gonna go risk $1 million on that?
Yeah, and then it's a different mindset as well, right? So do a flip, right? You have a contractor, and the contractor understands, okay, this is the price of cost of whatever Home Depot is, right? When you have a developer, they're getting their money, they're getting their materials for something else. The cost is completely different. And by bulk, distance and time, all of those things have a different.
Yeah, and I think that's just like I did my first real estate deal. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I did my first wholesale deal. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I did my first flip. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And
You gotta go out there and do it.
you gotta, if you don't take action, you know, this is a progress is a messy job.
Yeah.
Because those who do it perfectly clean aren't making much progress, in my opinion. So,
Yeah,
you gotta just take calculated risk. I'm saying hedge your bets and make sure you're trying to make really good decisions. But at the end of the day, you need to make them and take action.
Yeah.
Right. And even one of the, I heard on another podcast, right? Some guy, he got into his first deal was a 100-unit project, right? But from that 100-unit project, he only ended up making 5%. Now the whole thing is that he didn't lose any money, right? He ended up making 5%, but he got the knowledge and the contacts to make that deal happen.
Right.
And so the money is irrelevant because at that point now he understands what it takes to get that next deal.
Yeah,
done,
for the
right.
next
And the
deal.
next deal will be
Well,
profitable.
now it's a
and so on.
lifetime of
It's a
earning.
lifetime.
Yeah.
Right.
You either, on every deal you earn or you learn.
Right.
That stupid Sun City deal I'm about to learn. I don't know what I'm gonna learn from it because the fucking deal was supposed to work.
Yeah.
The first wholesale deal that I helped with you guys on, like as soon as we got it locked up, the first thing I said was, "This is a great learning experience," because I was not happy with some of the end result.
Right? No, it's perfect. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I'm weird. Like when I go through hard things, I try to really savor those moments and feel it and be within it and be like, all right, this is life. Like life has these moments of fucking stress and panic. And when you really embrace that and almost appreciate those moments, then when you go have the really sweet moments, they're that much sweeter, you know? So I don't, I kind of get weird on that sort of stuff.
No,
No,
it's
it's true.
fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. I just get angry and pissed off and I break shit.
Yeah.
I'm the one that gets like, oh man, it says it don't work out. Come on, bro. We gotta do this. We gotta do this. Oh no, come on, man. I'm the worry one, man.
See, I'll just kind of like, I'm weird. I'm kind of like, damn, like I don't like the pain, but I'm kind of just like, I can appreciate it.
Yeah, in the back of your mind, you're always like, I'm gonna learn from it, right? And I'm gonna figure out a way to get out of it.
You can't fail if you don't quit.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and for
true.
me, like, fuck, dude, like my hero Kobe just passed, and he's the perfect example of just the definition of hard work.
Yep.
And you have all the talent in the world, but too many people just rely on that. Like you got to work like you're the last guy on the bench. You got to work like you have no talent, and that's one thing that I know I can always control. There's people smarter than me, better looking than me. They might have all these things over me, but they're not going to outwork me.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to have better energy than me, and they're not going to have a better attitude than me.
Right.
Because the glass can always be half full.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, nobody says, send me your deals like
yeah.
you do.
Yeah, send me your deals, and then makes like natural light videos. Where I'm like,
Oh, that's awesome.
That was a great video.
I appreciate it. So,
Can we add that onto the back of this or the link on that? Okay.
we
good.
will.
oh man, that I just try to have fun because like so many realtors and real estate investors, it's so just like I wouldn't want to watch what they're doing. Not that I'm not interested in them or what, but it's just boring content.
Yeah.
So like for me, I just flipped it on its head. I'm like, I'm just gonna entertain people, and at the end be like, oh, by the way, I do real estate. Like, send me that shit.
Yeah.
But in this 30 seconds, I'm just trying to make you laugh.
Right.
And it's been good for me. It always keeps people top of mind. And then they're like, all right, if he's doing well enough to just be a fucking idiot all the time, and still like he must be doing something right.
Right.
So I actually have my first commercials. So I don't spend money on marketing, right? But I feel like the industry's all zigging one way with text and everything, and that definitely works.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not something I'm going to build out. So I'm trying to zag, and I'll have commercials hitting TV next month, and
All right.
Oh, nice.
some different, and I have the revenue to kind of support that. So
Like TV or like streaming services?
no, like TV, like
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
be on Channel 7, KZA TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, right on.
So yeah, so just just trying. When everyone's swimming in one pool, I always want to try to swim in the other one.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for wholesaling, I probably wouldn't go to TV. But unfortunately, a lot of the people we meet in wholesaling are not making great decisions. And I feel like they may be watching antenna TV in the middle of the day.
Right.
Like there's
Yep.
a reason why you're about to lose your house in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that commercial right during like the soaps or like The Price is Right.
That's right
Oh,
where it is, MASH.
Dude, that is brilliant. That is
So,
brilliant.
Just always trying to think outside the box. And then, I'm running, for a while, T Group was running at such a high expense. I had all my companies flowing into one bucket. And I didn't realize that like T Group really wasn't making money. It was way too high expense, and I was pretty much just like solving it by being a good wholesaler and flipper.
Oh, wow.
And so within 2 weeks, I cut my expenses down from 30 G's a month down to 8, which is where I sit now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a difficult and painful process to do. But now I can be profitable so easy. And I live really modestly, or I try to, and then I take all my extra money and I buy assets that
Right.
cash flow. So
That cash flow, right? Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you were doing that, did you have a CPA that did your KPI? I mean, like how did you? One, what gave you the inclination that something's running too high, and then two,
I had no money.
You're like-
That was the inclination.
He's
I was
looking at his
fucking-
bank account.
I was broke.
you're like, wait, how's this negative? Wait, I did 40 deals and I'm at
Yeah.
negative. What?
Wait, so 80 came in and I got 8. What happened? You
Right.
know, and I was buying too many houses like for hold.
Oh, you over leveraged. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
right.
I was equity rich and cash poor.
I got it.
But I didn't sell any of that off. I was like, hey, this too shall pass. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to lower expenses, but I'm not going to sell these assets I worked so hard to create.
Okay.
So like every month, like you can go put 40 into a condo and hold it if you're making 80, you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like when you're not netting that and you're putting
Yeah.
it out every month, you're like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
and I had committed to a few deals that I wanted right there at the end. And they kind of really put me into a jam. I was like, damn, like I'm legit broke. Like I got it, but I
Right.
bought like 8
Right.
homes in
But
a
on
year.
paper, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're
You
like
got you're millions, right?
yeah, you look at your net and you're like, oh, I'm a millionaire, but I have no money.
Yeah.
Like this sucks.
Yeah.
So that description, I don't even like being, you know, that's not even me. Because you don't feel that way, you know.
Yeah.
What is powerful though, and it's finally started to take place in my life, is those passive income assets pay for my life. So
Yeah.
I can't live large on it, but I can feed my kids, pay my bills,
Right,
live my life, and without working.
Right.
Yeah,
And that peace of
that's
mind
freaking
is
awesome.
invaluable, right?
It is, but I'm a weirdo. Even that doesn't feel secure
Yeah.
enough. I'm like,
I
we need more.
What if,
Like,
what if somebody doesn't make the rent payment, right?
yeah, you just like I don't know what it will take for me to ever feel
Feel-
like completely secure, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
my wife was like, "Well, what are you gonna do tomorrow?" I was like, "I'm gonna go do a deal." Like I don't know what else. Like what else do I do? Like
Right.
send me your deals.
Do you your deals?
Send-
Do you have like on a monthly basis on how many houses you're gonna buy only, and that's it, or like your limits, or have limits on what?
Yeah, I try to not like honestly. I'm flipping too many houses right now. I would really love to be flipping 4 or 5 at a time, but it's just kind of naturally happened to where I'm at 9 or 10 right now.
Okay.
I just signed right before here, so one will close out tomorrow. That's great. 2 are about to hit market right here in Mesa. I just filmed a Facebook Live trying to pre-sell one of them
Okay.
Oh,
right
okay.
next to here.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone has a buyer in Mesa under
Okay.
300, 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
All right.
So anyway, where were we heading with this?
No, I was just saying. Do
Oh,
you
do I
had
have a plan?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
so,
limit on a monthly.
No, I just look at my expenses.
Okay.
Like it cost me about 8-9 grand to live my life,
Okay.
and my business cost me about 8-9 grand.
Okay.
So for me, I just, you know I need to go do at least that,
Okay.
and I'm living, and my business is running. Anything in addition to that, I'm profitable. I read a book called Profit First,
Mm-hmm.
so now I got a little aggressive with it, and I was like, hey, half of everything that comes in
right?
as will not be mine. So I've been doing that, and I have saved more personal savings than I've ever saved, and it's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
My business accounts are a little low, and I'm like, oh God, but I got a little too aggressive with the half probably, but I'm like
Okay.
not gonna break.
Right. Yeah.
So-
And that's the thing, right? The Profit First is a great book, right? But then you're going, well, wait a second. I have half. The business has half. And how do you keep those in those buckets? So that how is it not the dedication, the
Discipline.
discipline to make sure that those stay in those buckets. And it's like, you know what I mean? You'd be like, I got this bill coming, but
You have to.
I have the money, but
So you're not broke, but you feel broke.
right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's a great feeling. Like right now I'm broke, but I'm not. You know,
Right.
like I'm
Yeah.
sitting in a really good spot, Templeton,
Yeah.
but the businesses, they really need some deals to close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like I had payroll yesterday, and I had to like shift one to the other, and I'm like,
Yeah. See.
I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, baby. No,
Yeah.
I didn't shift out of the savings.
Right.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I
okay.
will not do that.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I guess if I had to, I would, but like I had to get creative because I have like 3 or 4 companies. So I'm like, oh damn, like this payroll's about to hit, and you have this fat
Right.
account, but it ain't yours.
Yeah,
It ain't
right,
the,
it's
like,
not your- right,
the
exactly.
business doesn't. That's not the business's. That's
Yeah.
mine.
Right.
So that's been kind of a fun discipline to learn and kind of play that game.
Yeah.
Because normally all that would be in the accounts,
All in one
but
account.
then you don't have any pressure.
Right.
You feel good, and you're just like, it kind of keeps, comfort is like the thief of like
Yeah.
movement.
Mhm.
And right now, bro, I need some deals because the business accounts are hella low. So I'm like, let's go.
Right. Exactly. So
But-
send him your
Yeah,
deals.
send him your deal. Oh, I'm on a tick. Oh, wait, I forgot the song, but it's fucking good. But anyway, but I locked one up today. I think I have 4 in escrow. So like in January though, I think I've done 7 wholesale and I'll close 2 flips. Like that's, and then T Group probably closed 15 deals. So yeah, it's a good business. But my dumb ass, everything has to like, I have like no plan of like slow progress. Like I think I have to solve everything today. And I always have 0 credit card debt, and I had to do some like data spend, and I had like 22 grand in credit card debt, which I never have that much. Like seeing that like killed me. And I had closed some stuff, so that should be in those business accounts right now. And I one night, like right before bed, like just like really without thinking, I was like paid it off. So I paid off 22 grand in debt in like 10 minutes. I was like, felt good for a minute, and then I was like,
Why did I do that?
damn, like I kind of need that
Yeah.
cash.
Right.
Like,
Why
fuck.
did I do that? Yeah.
And then I locked up all my credit cards. Like I don't want them. Like right.
Mhm.
So I'm like living on no credit cards. I have no
Oh.
cash. I'm like, damn. I feel like I'm 19 again. Like struggling.
But sometimes you need that, right? You need that because then all of a sudden the mind starts working creatively, right? And then,
Bro,
right.
I'm hungry right,
Right,
now. But
and then
it's
you get
funny
the
because
yeah.
you're like set.
Right.
But you're not.
But, right.
And it's like,
Exactly.
but if you can play the game that way, it's like fun,
Right.
So I need deals like, and if it had to, I'd just like break, I guess, and like move money over. But like,
that's
I'm
not
not
the,
gonna,
that's not the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
or like
And
use a credit card again. But
Yeah.
I'm trying not to.
that's
so
cheating.
I'm not going
Right.
to. Yeah, I can't. So like, it was like a month ago when I first started, and I got way too aggressive on the profit first, and I had my first ever insufficient funds fee on a business account. I was like, oh my god. I was like, what am I doing? But it's been cool.
Yeah, that's
pretty
I
good.
know,
And
and it's a learning experience, and we're doing it as well, right? And
Yeah.
so it's just one of those things. It's a learning experience and dedication to doing it and keeping it is. Just
But if I stay this disciplined, dude, that account by the end of this year,
oh yeah,
Oh,
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
major.
nice.
it's
Right.
gonna be
And-
juicy.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, and it's back to the investor mindset, right? Because would you have something rather today, a small piece of something today, or would you rather have a larger piece of something later?
That delayed gratification is huge.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
There you
like,
go.
and the people that can do that. I'm actually rereading. I'm a huge reader, like huge reader. I had a son at
Same.
18, so I couldn't. I gave up my basketball scholarship, started working, and I was like, all right, if I'm not gonna go to school, which was always my plan, I'm gonna turn my car into like the University of Templeton. And I don't read very well, like on an actual book, because I'm like ADHD, like a motherfucker, and like I'll be thinking
Same.
about.
Audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like thinking about like dumb shit and
I
be
did
like,
the
oh,
same.
but I'm reading, and like I'll get through like 8 pages and be like,
What the fuck did I just
yeah,
read?
I was like, man, I was thinking about
Shit.
Apple Jacks tomorrow morning
I
or
do the
some
same
dumb shit. And
I
I'm
just do
like,
audio.
so but if I listen, I retain it so well. And if I'm listening to something I'm passionate about, that's just like a whole nother subject. Like I just feel like our education system's fucked up because
yeah.
it's like, I always use this analogy, and it's not mine. I heard it somewhere, but like the test in our schooling system is to go climb this tree, and you got a bear, you got a lion, you got an elephant. The bear scurries up, the lion scurries up, and the elephant can't climb the tree, and they're like, "Oh, you're fucking dumb,"
Right.
you know. But that's the wrong test.
Yep.
Right.
Like that elephant, that's not his strength.
Yep.
If you were supposed to be cast shade or be powerful or be protective or do these things, that elephant would thrive.
Yep.
Mhm.
So for me, for so long, I was being tested on the wrong things, and as soon as I found the material that I gravitated towards, I mean, clearly now I've done all right, you know.
Yep.
So I always try to like keep that in mind with my boys and with people that are struggling with certain stuff. I'm like, look, you don't have to force a square peg in a round hole. Like, find what you love and water that grass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah.
I like that
that's great.
analogy where,
Yeah.
and I heard that on the last podcast. It's like people are always looking, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence.
Me and
and
Trang,
I
we
love
just we have a one-on-one twice a month, and obviously I'm at Stunning Homes. I rep that proud, and twice a month we get together and we just talk. You know, at this point we're kind of peers, but I still look to him as a massive mentor, and we just talked about like greatness, like because we were talking about Kobe. He'd go in the gym for 3 hours and work on reverse pivot, bank shot, like all the stuff that we did when we were 8, 9, and 10 years old. And he would do it to not like till you're just like, all right, this is so boring that it's like almost impossible to get through. And when you look at the guy who just shows up every day and just waters his little patch, and there's shiny houses over here, and he could jump to them and water that grass. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna water this patch. That becomes the best lawn in the neighborhood, right? Because you just stick to what you're doing. But so many people splash a little water and they run over here and they got to, and they're not just consistent on the basics and just like on what gets you there.
Right.
So.
And I bet you it's especially difficult for somebody with ADHD.
Oh my God, bro. Like, yeah, I'm like, yes, I'm always, but I've learned to like booby trap my life from myself. Like, if I want to get up to the gym, I got to put my alarm like 3 rooms over where I can hear it, but I have to get out of bed to turn it off. And then I put notes like, don't be a bitch, like on the way to the phone, and like have my clothes out and stuff. Like, you're a hoe. Like, I'll say dumb stuff to myself. And I'm like, by the 4th note on the way to the phone, I'm like, damn, I got to go to the gym. Yeah. But if it's just next to me, I'm like, oh, turn it off. And so I've like booby trapped my life to not get distracted. Like on Instagram, I have to be done for the day because I put a 15-minute time limit on there.
Okay.
Maybe that's why my deal flow was down, though. I haven't been saying send me your deals.
Okay.
So I need to like, it's a fine balance. I have a love-hate relationship with social media,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever feel like sometimes you want to be the biggest star in the world and other times you want to be nobody.
I'm in the same boat, yeah.
I feel like it's like a necessary evil. Like, there was one point in my life where like I banned all of it for a year. And it was the best, like...
It's incredible, right?
It was freeing, yeah. But then you realize you want to get into something like real estate, you need social media.
Like, my livelihood is directly predicated on my usage on that.
Yeah.
And my ability to share, my ability to perform. And I've been blessed to be a likable guy. Like, like some people are hard to watch.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, fuck, bro. Like, I get a ton of engagement and people enjoy the material I put out, which I'm so blessed. Not everyone does, but a lot of people do. So it's like, that's one of my gifts. But I'm going to be like I don't know. Like, I just sometimes don't want to do it. And I'm like, bro, like, that's one of the gifts. Like, why are you not watering that grass?
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes, man, I want to be like the fucking biggest mogul you've ever seen. And other times, I'm like, give me a fucking RV and a lake and my wife and kids.
And
I'm
that's
straight.
good.
It's part of it, and we all struggle with that. And so you're not alone, right? And that's
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard because we're in the same boat where, okay, yeah, I'm posting this on social media. We get the reaction. We get all the instant gratification.
Yeah, you get the dopamine hit.
Yeah. Exactly. And then all of a sudden later on, you're like, oh man, why did I even do that? Like, I don't feel like I want my privacy back.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I kind of feel like that because I was super proud when my balance sheet hit where I hit financial freedom and like my assets are down paying for my liabilities. And I do know my stories inspire and help other people push. So I do enjoy sharing for that reason. But like that's one post in particular now where people are like, damn, like you're set, you're done. And I don't feel anywhere close near set or done, And I'm like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have posted that, but fuck it. I mean, it's too late now.
It's part of the dream, right? And either way, we all appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
No, I appreciate and hopefully people can look at it and be like, damn, if Goofball Temp could get there, like, so can we. And I'm an open book. Like I try. I feel bad because I get so many DMs and stuff that I can't. I bet you I could, but if I don't want to live on social media, I don't get back to everybody.
Yeah.
Again, protecting your time. But hopefully it helps people see a little bit of a roadmap on how to navigate some of the stuff I've done well. Like how to be an agent and an investor in tandem, how to build a portfolio, how to be a good dad and good husband.
Right.
Like hopefully that social media has set some of that example.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so you have a total of how many companies is it? I thought it was 6.
No, so I got Templeton Group,
Okay.
and that just runs under Templeton Walker PLLC, but it's a DBA Templeton Group because I'm not a broker.
Yeah.
But I got about 20 realtors. Got South Rim Investments, which is essentially like Templeton buys houses, but
Okay.
I'm from the South Rim of the Grand Canyon, so it seemed to make sense at a certain point. I got Flatiron Capital, which is like I raise capital and flip homes through that. And then I got F&B Vacation Rentals. So That's me and a buddy. I do a lot of creative stuff to hold assets,
Okay.
and we own a lot of homes around GCU, and we run them as student rentals. We own some
Oh,
vacation
nice.
rentals. But it's F&B because I wanted to name it Franks and Beans, and he wouldn't do it, so it's F&B.
That's funny.
So I got the 4 there.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
So-
So awesome. And so, if you don't mind me asking about the capital, right? So
Oh, I don't
when you were
mind.
raising capital, how was that experience when you first started to do it, right?
I didn't know my value or worth. It's like when I started a team, I wanted everyone on like a 90-10 split. Like I didn't feel like asking for what I actually needed to run a profitable company because I was like, why would they be with me? You know, I'm new. And as an investor, I was like, well, I'll give them like 80% of the profits, but I'll go do everything. If I made 20% of a flip, like that would be fucking badass. And I'm like, whoa, I'm finding the deal. I'm running the job. I'm selling the job. And like my first investors were getting fat returns. And I'm like, that's awesome. I want them to have great returns, but I want it to also be fair and in
Right.
Yes,
and in line
absolutely.
with what I need to grow a profitable company for myself. So honestly, that's the other great thing about sharing social media is it gives people a peek into the window of what you're doing, and if you're doing it well and you're doing it with high character and you're treating people well, naturally, like honestly, I have more money than I have deals. Like I don't. Right now, I have people like, bro, can I please give you 50 grand? Like, and I'm like, I don't have enough.
Deal
And I'm
for
not
it.
the guy to just say yes to money and go throw it into any deal and roll the dice. Like, I want to go do really good deals and make sure we're profitable and we're hedging against
Yeah.
the risks that are out there. Because make no mistake about it,
Right.
you're
Real
risking a lot
estate
of
is
money.
risk.
So,
Right.
stupid flipping Tempe right now needs all new pipes underneath it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. And
So-
that's
So that 20 grand we
we
were gonna make is now gonna be 8 grand. Because
Yeah.
we got 12 grand in pipes. Like, but if you hedge deals well enough, like you earn or you learn, right? Like so
Yeah.
we didn't go see
Yeah.
the return we wanted, but I've with my investors, I had my dad invest in one, and that's another way I like help provide for my parents is give them an ability to invest in deals. So like tomorrow, my dad he gave me 12 on a little deal, and we're making like 15, so he'll make 7 in 2
Yeah.
months.
Exactly. That's
So
awesome.
like to do that for your parents to school, but.
Yeah, that's really
Long
cool.
story short, I bought another house because if I say I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it. So I unfortunately buy a lot of homes I don't want. But I bought this one. I'm fucking dumb. But it's from a big dude, so like I didn't want to fuck that up. So I'm like, damn. And I walked in, and long story short, after a long process of trying to sell it, I lost 9 grand. And my dad had put his money into that. He got all his money back, and I took the 9 grand loss, right?
Okay.
Probably going to have to do that on fucking 105th in Sun City right now.
Sun
But
City.
my dad's not going to lose his money. I'm not letting that happen.
Right.
And I'm in a financial position where if I need to, I'll absorb that loss, and my investor will be made whole. And that's why I have a line of investors waiting to give me money because there's no sure thing. I'm sure there's situations that could arise where I couldn't cover everything, but I've never even been close to anything like that, and I've
Right.
never.
Because you hedge, right? You hedge on your price and certain things. You
Yeah.
know this market.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So the property in Sun City, just possible solutions, right? You can't do lease options or anything like that. Anything.
I have hard
outside-
money on it.
Okay.
Pretty expensive hard money on it. It's a 55 plus community, and you can't rent. So like I can't really take it down and put a renter in there. I could.
Pace
turn-
had mentioned that in any 55 plus community, there's always a 10%
Yeah,
of the
Variance of, like, who can live in there?
Live in there, yeah. And so then that allows for people that are under 55.
So it looks like I'm moving to Sun
Right,
City.
right.
No, I'll probably just lose the 5 grand, whatever I'm gonna lose, and just
Hey, all right.
fuck it. I mean, I look at
Also
it like
time,
a net.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if I close this year, I want to instead of 98 deals, I want to do 65 wholesales and I want to do 30 flips, which was about what last year was. I was gonna try to do 100, but that's way too hard. Not that I couldn't do it, but like I'm not willing to put in the risk and time
Yeah.
that's required.
Right, because that's gonna
Sometimes you
cut
got to be
into
honest with yourself,
other
right?
things, right? Yeah.
So 30 and then T group, everything like that, I net exactly what I need to net, which is quite a bit of money, and I'm happy. So,
Okay.
but when you look at that, let's just say 10%. Let's say 3 of my deals don't hit what they needed to, or they even lose. The other 27,
yeah.
your net is solid. So, I once had a mentor tell me, because I thought I was like the beast listing agent. I was like, I never lost a listing. And he's like, because you don't go on enough. Like, if you start going on more stuff, you're not going to get every one. You know what I mean? So
Right.
whenever there's an investor like, I've never lost money, I'm like, well, because you ain't doing shit. Because, people lose. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it happens. Yeah.
but it's how you act it's how you handle those situations and the way you treat the people that decided to invest with you that shows your true character.
Right. Your reaction to the
Like,
to
and
the
then the send me your
situation.
deals. Like, there's not exactly a great way for people to track whether I move that on and make money or not. But like, my heart, my integrity. Like, if you know who I am, like, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
I got a guy send me a Fizbo picture once. He completely forgot about it. I moved it on for 20 grand. I call him like 15 days later. I was like, hey man, I got 10 grand for you. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I moved that deal on. All he did was send me a picture of a sign.
Wow.
I cultivated the lead. I called it. I did everything. But
That's awesome.
that's the commitment I've made to myself. Like, I could have easily not told him at all
Yeah.
or been like, hey, I made 4 grand. Here's 2.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I feel like when you do that, the world knows, God knows, karma knows.
Yep.
And Jamil taught me that. Like, I mean, I already operated that way, but he told me that, like, you know, when you put that energy into you, it's in you, right? So if my energy is to shortchange you guys and to lie and to be deceitful, then that starts to become who I am,
Yeah.
and that's just not something I'm willing to be. So.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, and like, you got to think about it. That person gave me the opportunity to go make $10,000. Like, I should be saying thank you to them and
Right.
being so proud to give them that check.
Yeah.
But fucking human beings are all like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
let me get 16."
Right.
You
And
know, it's
the
like, bro,
mind-
you
it's-
just
yeah, and it's the mindset, right? That's the whole thing. It's the mindset. And here's the thing: next time they'll send it over to you.
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
They'll be
that's
like,
why
"Hey."
so many people like always send me their stuff, which I'm so grateful for, and that's how I've created a nice business. And you know, I don't need to go do these commercials or anything like that. And I know every month I can go do 6, 8, 10 deals and be just fine. And I have faith in that. So that's come from treating people well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. Well, on that, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah,
Sound good?
I
Any
appreciate you
questions?
guys.
No,
Thanks,
thank
bud.
you,
Where
thank
can
you.
we find you on social media?
So at Tempe Walker on Instagram.
I mean, you're everywhere. But
At Tempe Walker on Instagram, Templeton Walker on Facebook, and soon. No, that's just the 2. Like,
just for now.
there's so much, you know. Like,
Right.
people are like, "Oh, TikTok's the next thing." I'm like, I ain't
Right.
fucking with TikTok. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I get left in the dust.
Maybe we should do one right now after this.
But if my assets are paying me enough, it
Yeah.
ain't gonna matter. Like, I
Right.
don't
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
TikTok nothing.
Right.
So as long as I'm getting 25 a month passive, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's fun,
That's
but
fun. Yeah.
when you start to feel like obligated to it, like, it's
Yeah.
kind of owning
Yeah.
you. That's why I like
Right.
put restrictions. Sometimes I'm like in it and I'm like, so sorry.
Yeah.
I gotta roll in a minute.
Yep,
I'm
of
like,
course.
so like it starts to control you, and I don't want
Yeah.
anything to control me other than God. So it's like, and my wife, I love her. Yeah.
Controlling
No,
you.
I don't want her to, but she's dope. But I do what she says, because typically she's like,
She's right.
I'd be dead without her. She keeps me in line. But anyway, this is like, I could talk to you guys for like 9
Yeah,
hours.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It could be
That's
like
the
Joe
whole point.
Rogan, like a 6-hour episode.
Right. Exactly.
But I got an appointment right now. But I appreciate
no
you
worries.
guys.
Same here.
Definitely.
Same here.
no, thank you for coming out, man.
I
Thanks a lot,
appreciate you
bro.
guys.
Your time. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Cool. We set and mahalo.